So, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Masjid Parking Lot. Today we are going to be talking about something, I guess, spicy, or I guess what our community thinks as spicy, but it shouldn't be. But before we go into that, I think it's important that we introduce our amazing guests, Balsam and Aya, and then we'll move on, inshallah. So let's go with Aya first. Aya, tell us who you are.
Hi. First of all, I wanted to say thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this episode. I love your podcast so much. My name is Aya. I'm going into my 4th year of civil engineering at Western. Yeah.
Is that all your life is? Civil engineering?
No, I also like crocheting.
Ooh.
And The Office.
Ooh. Randa's been watching that movie.
I
heard.
watched it at night, and Balsam wants to kill me because I'm laughing so much, and she's like, "Bro, just shut up." But yeah,
it's so good. I rewatch it again and again.
Balsam, who are you?
Hello, everybody. I have been on here a few times, so the longtime viewers of MPL already know me and know who I am. I'm Randa's sister. I'm her older sister. My name is Balsam. I'm a chemical engineering student at Western. Just bouncing off of what Aya said, I also love to crochet. Aya is my best friend, by the way. And
I got her on that.
Yes, and she got me on crocheting. Well, she was like, "You got to try it," and I tried, and I struggled because I lack coordination of all sorts. And then I saw her make so many products. I was like, okay, I got to get on this. And I tried, and it worked out, and now it's one of our things that we could do together. Other than that, the other thing that I do in my life is listen to them to cackle at night, watching The Office. Both I and Randa watch The Office, and they're both trying to get me on that, but she has yet to succeed with that one. Yeah.
What's it called? Balsam is really good at crocheting. She made a tank top. You should check her Instagram out. It's real nice.
I'm on private, but if you're a girl, I will add you.
Only girls, because
Yes.
guys are haram. Anyways, hi Randa, who are you?
I am the most important co-host, obviously.
Obviously, mashallah, mashallah.
You're also very humble, I gotta say that.
No, Nazar, kul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, to your noor and everything, and like, subhanallah.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah, let's just keep doing it, man. Anyway.
And I feel like we need to start this off with a disclaimer. I don't know if we should probably put this disclaimer in the beginning, and it's probably good to mention it now again. None of us are doctors. None of us are medical professionals. We are just people who have done our due diligence and have tried to research as much as we can, learn about our bodies as we can. But if anything I mentioned, for example, you feel relates to you, or that you might be experiencing any of these symptoms, I urge you to do your own research and go to a medical professional, and go to a doctor. Yes, so that now that that's done and we put that aside,
let's spice it up. Anyways, so now it's time to, I guess, talk about this taboo subject. And so let's get on to it, and let's get ready. And I'm ready to make you uncomfortable if you are gonna get uncomfortable. Anyways, so I'm just joking. Anyway, so I'm gonna direct some of these questions to everyone that's here. The first one is to Randa, because she is the most knowledgeable one, mashallah, in science. And so we will ask her. So Randa, what is a period? The reason why we're talking about this is because some guys are so freaking clueless. And
even girls,
we're gonna keep this in. But some girls are so clueless, and they go to the doctor and they're like, "Oh, it's okay if I don't get my period. I don't like it anyway."
Yes,
it's true.
There's a reason why. You need to know. You need to get educated. We need to raise awareness. Yeah.
So okay, Randa, you go.
Now I'm gonna be serious. Okay, so all girls have a uterus. Okay. And the uterus is the female reproductive organ. And basically its job is every month it's preparing to have a child. Okay. So what happens is usually your cycle is around a month. Some people it's shorter, some people it's longer. But we'll just say month, that's just the ballpark range. And so during the first 2 weeks of that month, your uterus is preparing the lining. And so in the inside of your uterus, you have a lining and it's made up of tissue and blood. And it's basically supposed to act like a cushion for what's going to happen in the halfway midpoint, the midpoint of your cycle. And in the midpoint of your cycle, you get this phase called ovulation. And in ovulation, your ovaries release an egg. And so the egg gets released into your uterus and it's just waiting to be fertilized. And so if it gets fertilized, then you're going to have a baby and the zygote actually attaches to that little cushion that you're having. And if you're not going to have a baby, the egg doesn't get fertilized, that's when you get your period because the cushion needs to be replaced. Otherwise it gets nasty. So you need to get your period to flush it all out. And then the next month you prepare for another baby, another potential baby. And so
Professor,
yes,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't want you to get too far away from the point. I have a question.
That's fine.
What is a zygote?
Oh my God, I literally had the same. No, I felt like people would have the same question, but I remember it from grade 11 biology.
You guys are right. I should actually clarify.
Good for you. I don't remember.
What is she saying?
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I just completely went off. But basically, a
I
zygote
was like, everyone here is in science, and obviously we all know what a zygote is.
Okay.
And then me and I in engineering.
So when a sperm fertilizes an egg, that becomes a zygote. The combination is a zygote. That's what they call it. Okay. I should have clarified. I'm sorry. Okay. So if that fertilization does not happen at the end of your cycle, your uterus is going to get rid of that lining so it can come up with a fresh one. And so during that time, your uterus contracts so that it can squeeze out that lining and it squeezes out all the tissue and all the blood. A lot of people actually think that periods are just blood, but it's not just blood. It's actually it's literally tissue that's coming out from the inside of your uterus. And that's why it's painful. Because your uterus has to contract. And actually, this is another thing, by the way. If you guys get like back pain and like stomach pain and stuff like that, that's because when your uterus is contracting, it's like bothering the organs around it and it's bothering your lower back. And that's why you feel pain there. The more you know. I don't know if you guys want more detail, but is this good enough explanation? Like, do you think I covered all bases? I don't know.
I think that's pretty good. And I think Aya has a lot of information as well, and I feel like she'll be able to fill in the holes.
So Aya, when talking to you, it seemed like you had a lot of knowledge about disorders that are related to women's periods and health in general. And many young women grow up not knowing about these things. So did you want us to give us some details about that?
Yes, of course. So first of all, I just wanted to say, I just wanted to like talk about what a normal period is. So a normal period is regular. It comes every 25 to 35 days. You'll experience some pelvic discomfort and cramps. You should have mild to moderate blood flow, no large clots. You'll experience some bowel movement before getting your period and during the first few days, change in mood and breast soreness and congestion due to hormone changes. There are many diseases that lead to menstrual disorders, but I'm just going to talk about two of them. So one, which is a very big one, is called PCOS, which is short for polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, what this disease is, it's a problem that affects 1 in 10 women. So women with PCOS have a hormonal imbalance and metabolism problems that may affect their overall health and appearance. Also, PCOS is a common and treatable cause of infertility. Some of the symptoms of PCOS is irregular menstrual cycles. So women with PCOS may miss periods or have fewer periods, so fewer than 8 in a year. Some women with PCOS stop having menstrual periods. Like we mentioned, how some girls stop having menstrual periods and say like, oh, good, because I don't like my period anyways. No, get that checked out. There's also infertility, excess hair. So like on the face, chin, on parts of the body where men usually have hair. This affects up to 70% of women with PCOS. There's also acne, there's thinning of hair or hair loss on the scalp, like male pattern baldness. There's weight gain or even difficulty losing weight, darkening of skin along neck creases, in the groin and underneath the breast. So then, after mentioning all those symptoms, how can we treat PCOS? There's a lot of research done online of people trying to treat it by watching your diet. So definitely do a lot of research, eat healthy, doing regular exercise is a big thing, consulting your doctor, of course, and seeing a specialist. You can also manage your symptoms naturally by doing, of course, I mentioned this, but like research and cutting out gluten and dairy. Those are two big things that people don't know about. Yeah, so that's PCOS, which is one of the most common ones. There is another one called endometriosis, and I'm sorry if I say this wrong. I don't know, it's a long word, okay? This is a less common one than PCOS. So I'm just gonna give an explanation of what this is. So cells similar to the ones in the lining, which Randa already mentioned, you find them outside of your uterus, for example, on your ovaries, fallopian tube, on your bladder, on your bowels, behind your uterus. They could be anywhere. They behave in the same way as your uterine lining. So the lining of your uterus during your period leaves your body, but those cells are not leaving your body. They stay there, they start scarring and forming adhesions, and this is what makes it so painful. So during a period, it is painful because those cells are bleeding and scarring, but they cannot leave your body. And this is one of the leading causes of infertility. And some of the symptoms of endometriosis are severe menstrual pain, pelvic pain, and cramping, which may begin before and extend several days into a menstrual period. The pain is so intense that you can't perform day-to-day tasks. Now, there are many levels of endometriosis, but like when you experience very severe pains, this is like a severe case of the disease. There's also pain with intercourse, pain with bowel movements or urination, most likely to be experienced during menstrual period, and of course, infertility. And how to treat endometriosis is hormonal treatment. So like, of course, see a specialist and surgery.
Wow.
That was a lot.
I just want to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm here hosting this right now, but there's so many things that I didn't know. Like Randa was mentioning certain words, and I started laughing. I was like, "Girl, what you saying?" And now you're saying, like, I didn't even know about endometriosis.
Yeah, it's a big thing. A lot of girls don't know about it. They just think their symptoms are normal. People think period means like pain. So, oh, I'm experiencing pain. That's okay because this is what a period is supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, you know, I just want to add on to something that I'm not adding on to, I don't have that kind of a knowledge, but like I just, something that I can connect to is that it's very important that you do take care of your health, and that you are, especially at a young age. Like, when I got my period at 13 years old, and ever since then, my mom and sisters have made sure that I have been in constant communication with my doctor, because they want to make sure that I'm going through, I'm doing everything healthy, to, you know, because this is a new stage in life, you know. And there, at the beginning, now I'm just sharing my personal experience. At the beginning, when I got it once, and then a year later I got it again. So that is common for some people. And then after that, it took a very long time for me to get regular. And then when it started getting regular, it didn't get really regular. I used to get it every 3 months, and I would die in pain, and I would literally puke, and I would scream and cry. And then we went to the doctor again, everything like that. We couldn't figure anything out. So the only choice came down to what it was, birth control. And so many people, like, I remember, like, my mom, she was like, what the heck, birth control? So, and then there were so many other things too that, like, the doctor suggested doing, like wearing certain types of stuff down there, you know, like, just to make it easy and like more comfortable, because it was affecting other areas of my body too. And so that's what I want to lead it now to. So my question is, let's talk about the taboo of birth control, menstrual cups, pads, tampons. So let's start with Balsam. Balsam, what do you have to say?
I have a lot to say. First of all, I really learned a lot from what Aya said. The taboo is something I've personally like kind of wrestled with for majority of my life of periods and um what to use. Like I my whole life, and I think this is what majority of Muslim girls will experience as well, used like pads or it's kind of like given that as my only option, as like this is what you're supposed to use. And I personally don't find them to be the most great option for myself. And I think it's totally okay if that's a great option for a lot of women, but for myself, I really wanted to explore different options in my household. And I, I think a lot of people are going to relate to this. Um, Women's health issues and exploring different options of managing symptoms and things to use during your period is something a little bit more taboo and less discussed. And it's likely to get brushed aside when it is mentioned. So I've tried different options and I found other options for me that I prefer to use more than pads. And I really urge you to like other girls to try different things. Like you might need to step out of your comfort zone a little bit, but there are options. And also sometimes these options can help you manage your pain as well. Sometimes almost everybody starts off with pads, and sometimes there are other options that you can use will help decrease the severity of your cramps. Just one more thing I kind of wanted to add is that I love the approach that Yasmin's family has taken with letting you and I is nodding to me, but like letting you have that access to a healthcare professional in this and to help you address all your concerns and manage your symptoms. And that is, unfortunately, it should be something that's normal for every girl, but unfortunately for a lot of us, it's a luxury that not everyone has. So I just want to say this: if you're somebody who isn't able to approach the subject with a parent, um, or have access to a medical professional to address your concerns or help manage your symptoms, you're not alone. um, I'm with you. But yeah, so not every girl has access to a women healthcare professional to address their needs regarding their women health issues or managing their period symptoms, etc. And I think a lot of us carry a lot of shame bringing these things to our families, or like oftentimes it's like a parent, like a mom being like, hey, like I have this like unbearable pain, or have this specific feeling like I can't manage this symptom. And you kind of get like, oh, just, at least that's kind of a thing that I've heard, but like, oh, just deal with it, it'll get better after you have kids or whatever. Like a lot of us have heard that. So just want to say I'm with you, I feel you, and we have to keep talking about these things so that girls in our generation, generations after, have access to medical health professionals regarding this issue with no shame, and that it no longer becomes a luxury.
Yes. I wanna add something to what you said, Balsam. So, um, it took me 2 or 3 months to convince my mom to let me on birth control. It took me that long, and she finally agreed when she saw that I got my period after that long, and I started screaming, and I was puking and everything. And then it wasn't just that. It was also um it was also because my sisters, I have two older sisters. We have a huge age gap, 17 years and 15 years. And they also try to talk to my mother, and they're like, listen, this is important. These are the cases. and listen, and my sister, she's studied medical sciences. She's like, Mom, this, you know, like she's explaining everything to her. And then my mom finally understood the importance of this, you know. If I understand that some parents come out very harsh, and because it's very hard, going against culture, going against the norm is very hard for them, especially when you're older and you have set your perspective in life and everything, right? So that is, it's very hard, but that's when you can reach out to people and ask them to sit with your mom or your parents or whoever is your guardian to discuss this, right? And don't say, oh, I'm glad I don't have my period, because even like what Randa just explained to you, what Aya just explained to you, there is so much importance in having it. And it's it's just how the woman's body works. And so yeah, Randa, do you have anything to share? Aya? Yes, go for it.
I just wanted to add something. I feel like a lot of young girls get put on birth control without knowing what it truly does. So, like, I encourage everyone to do their research because, okay, yeah, birth control does fix a lot of problems, but also it has a lot of side effects. Like, the box itself comes with a huge paper that just, I don't know what's written on it. It's tiny. We don't read it, but you're supposed to. Please do your research.
Yes.
I feel like, yeah, a lot of girls just get prescribed that, and they don't know what it's doing to their bodies. Yeah.
And when we get prescribed it, make sure you ask your doctor, what is the strength of this medication? Because there's different types of birth control. And what my mom made sure that was that I got the least one on the spectrum, because she's like, she doesn't need this. And my doctor was like, yeah, she doesn't. And I was prescribed, I took it for 1 year, took a year break, and then took it for another year, and done. Alhamdulillah, I'm good now. Yeah. So and it helps a lot. It really does. So there shouldn't be any shame in um doing what's like doing what's right for your health.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I just wanted to jump in and say that there's a lot of precedents in our cultures for women to suffer in silence, and that we go through these kind of pains and things where we literally can't, go with our daily activities. It's so normal to hear about girls like crying, like, oh, I can't work, I can't do this. I personally, I also like struggle with a lot of pain sometimes with my cycles. So like there's a lot of precedent of girls just suffering in silence, and like that's it. You just have to accept it, wait till you get married, have a kid, and somehow magically, subhanAllah, it's gonna be better. At least that's what we get told. But no, like it's not normal for your symptoms to be unmanageable and agonizing. And if it's consistent, like you can have months that are more difficult than others. Sometimes even your stress level or your diet for that month, or if you've drank a lot of water or whatever for that month, could influence the pain that you're feeling. But if you're feeling consistently a lot of pain, that's definitely something you should address.
Yep. And I feel like sometimes in our cultures, they're like, oh, okay, like, oh, you're just on your period. Just suck it up, go do some work, clean the house, this. And I'm like, but I legit cannot move. And then I get up and then I'm yellow.
And you know what's so funny about that is that literally in Islam, Allah gave us permission to not pray. And so people tell you stuff like that, like, oh, you should just suck it up. But literally, because Allah knows it's so difficult, He gave us permission to not pray. So why can't normal people understand that it's actually that hard? Like it's literally that hard.
And prayer, Randa, is something so simple. You go up and you go down. You go up and you go down.
But even then, for some women, their periods are so debilitating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saw that and He's made it this easy for us, right? You know what? Thank you for bringing this up, because now this brings us to our next prompt.
Good segue, right?
Yes, very nice, sister. Okay, so what are periods in Islam?
Okay, so in Islam, periods have a couple implications, and the most major one is the one I just said right now, is the fact that you can't pray. And actually, a lot of women, sometimes I hear them say things like, "Oh, but my periods aren't that bad. So why is it, do I not have to pray?" But the thing is, in Islam, generally when rulings are made, they're made on a general basis and not for specific cases. So just because you don't have a bad period doesn't mean you're representative of all women. You know what I mean? And then the other thing is we also can't fast when we're on our periods. And again, some women say we don't feel that awful that we can't fast. But actually, and I say this from experience, one time I was on my period and I didn't eat anything all day. When I tell you I was dead, like I was gonna pass out. It was the worst experience I've had in my life. So again, Allah knows that you're going through so much. You're literally losing nutrients, you're bleeding. You can't be fasting. You have to be eating, you have to be drinking water. And so there's that. So like I don't know why people try to like read in between the lines. Just take it as is, sis. You don't have to pray, you don't have to fast. It's for your benefit. Allah created you, He knows what you're capable of, and that's why these rulings exist.
Yes. Oh my goodness. This reminded me of something. One time I went to the mosque and a bunch of girls were talking, and I obviously was eavesdropping because they're so loud, and I'm just like, ooh, okay, I get to listen to something. So, the one individual was like, yeah, so it's very common in my family, and like even my mom, my sisters, we get our period and it lasts 15 days. And we've talked to our doctors and everything like that, and the doctor is like, it's okay, because we're looking at all your health, like your charts and everything. We've taken blood tests, we've done ultrasounds and everything. It's probably just something genetic. And they like it, because everyone, it's like that for every woman in the family, right? And then the one girl comes in and she's like, well, in Islam, if you get your period more than 10 days, you need to fast after those 10 days. You need to fast the day 11, day 12, day 13, day 14, day 15. And I got so mad. Okay, this was nosy Yasmin, and I was in grade 10. I jumped in and I'm like, no, she should not be fasting. You should not be giving her false information. She is literally, I'm like, I'm in grade 10. I shake when I'm on my period. And I know that if I had it for 15 days, bruh, I'd be dying. Like, like literally, like, and I jumped in because like I can't handle that. I can't handle that when you're forcing Islam onto someone, that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has so much mercy, you know? And that also reminds me of one more thing that I want to add. I do, okay, I'm going to go back to the previous prompt, and it's connected to this. Whoever says that tampons are haram because it breaks your hymen, let me tell you something. Okay? Let's go. You biking, you sitting on a bike breaks your hymen. You horseback riding breaks your hymen. You swimming aggressively and you using your legs a certain way, that breaks your hymen. Like, oh my goodness. Like, you seriously think that me putting something up there to help me keep me clean and everything like that to ease pain from other areas is haram because it makes me lose my
Dude.
virginity? Because this does breaking your hymen does not mean that you've lost your virginity. Excuse me, go get a life. But one more thing that I want to add about periods in Islam is that some people in our community, they like sometimes, like my mom would go to the mosque and I would obviously go with her even if I was on my period, and I would just sit in the corner. And like a lady one time came to me and she's like, you're not supposed to be sitting here if you're on your period. You're making this place unpure. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I never like went in. And then one time there was a halaqa with Sister Sara Lawendi, the one that we did our marriage podcast with. And she was like, no, there is no such ruling that you can come to the mosque to seek knowledge, to seek the word of our Quran, the sunnah of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that does not prevent you from doing anything. Allah has given you mercy, and he's given so much mercy to you, and he's made this so easy for you, but that doesn't prevent you from doing anything. Yes. Randa, do you want to talk about the importance of like wudu and everything?
What do you mean? I actually just wanted to add that, like, by the way, like, people make these statements about, like, oh, you can't go into a masjid when you're on your period. You know, you could dead ass go to the Kaaba when you're on your period. The only thing you're not allowed to do is do tawaf around the Kaaba, but you can be in the mosque. That's totally fine. And so the same applies to literally any other masjid on the planet.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask, like, you know how the like the reason why we don't touch the Quran, like, what's the reason why we can't touch the Quran?
So when you touch the Quran, you need to have wudu, right? And so when you're on your period, because when you're on your period, you're not praying, and you have to do, once your period is over, you have to do ghusl, right? And so if you make wudu while you're on your period, it doesn't count because you're still considered like not clean. And so after you do your ghusl, you do your wudu, and then like adi, you can touch the mushaf. I don't know.
Also, this kind of holds up with the fact that like you should have wudu when you touch the mushaf, and even if you're a man and you have blood on you,
I was
that's
just about
more
to
than,
say that.
I think it's more than a size of a coin.
Yeah, but some
If you
people
have blood
say,
on you, that's not pure either. So
yeah,
it's not something that is just for women.
and
Because you can imagine if you're a woman, you have blood on you, right? While you're on your period. So
Okay. So let's move on to more of like the taboo things. Okay. So what are certain taboo things you've experienced, and what are what are the Muslim community taboos in general? Aya, we haven't heard from you in a while, so do you want to?
I can talk about my experience when I went to school, like elementary school, because I went to an all-girls school.
Oh.
Yeah, I was not here, but like back home.
Mm-hmm.
And although we were all girls, but we would never talk about periods. Like when it's within us, like me and my friends, yes, we would, but not in front of teachers or other, people from the school. And whenever a girl was on her period and she needed a pad, we would always hide it. Like we wouldn't, like, even if it's an all girls school, it's an all girls class, everyone is girls, we still can't say, hey, this girl's on her period, even in front of the other girls. It just shows you how much this is not talked about. I remember even growing up, I was never like taught what a period is. You kind of just had to learn from your mom. And this is my experience from like growing up back home. I don't know about here in elementary school how different it is, but I went to elementary school back home, and yeah, I was never taught what a period is, how to make ghusl. That's something very important when you're praying. Yeah, it's just looked at as something not clean, not pure, and you just don't talk about it. You just get it when you get to that age range, and you get cramps. You don't pray, you don't fast, and you just live life. You get cramps. If you're dying, you still have to go to school. You still have to do work. No one talks about that. Just pop an Advil and move on. But yeah, I just find that crazy. Like, yeah. I don't know. What are your experiences? I feel like this was a little
I
crazy.
have
Like, I
like
don't
a
know.
funny one. Your elementary school reminded me of this. So I went to an Islamic school. I hated it. Um, uh, they would document our periods
To know that you're praying, like to know when you're supposed to pray.
because there were some girls that were on their periods all the time because they didn't want to pray.
Okay, but what if someone had irregular
that's
periods?
That was me, man.
that's so invasive. What the
Literally,
hell?
Yasmin, you didn't get your period in a year. Are you okay?
no, but you know, wallahi, I'm not joking. This is what happened to me once. I got it for 2 days, then 2 weeks later, I got it again.
Oh, and then they were
And
like,
yeah, and they would do like this. So every time I would get it, I would make sure like my brother comes in and he would be like, it's none of your business, or like my sister would come in because like my family didn't agree with half of this things that the school would do, so they would just come in, they'd be like, back off, and I'd be good.
That's wild. That's wild. I'm sorry. That had to have some trauma there.
Mhm.
Like, wow. That's heavy.
You know what, Aya, the importance of education in that age is very important. I was aware about periods at 10 years old. My sister gave me the talk. We went on a drive and she just gave me the talk. She's like, you know why I don't fast? I'm like, no, I don't. So then she's like, and she gave me the talk, and we had ice cream and everything like that. It was a super chill, nice day. And she's like, if you ever have any questions, come to me and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought it was something normal. When we were growing up in that elementary school, a lot of these parents, because they are immigrants to Canada, they still have that back home culture. They don't have these discussions with their daughters. So whenever sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I used to hide that I had my periods. I used to hide that I was wearing a bra, because they would make fun of me. They would be like, oh, you got your period, oh, you're wearing a bra. And that was from my own Muslim community,
Wow.
and when you're not educating your own children, it affects other children, and it also affects your children with how they're treating people, because I don't know, I don't think they become good people when they grow up, right? Yeah.
100%. And like thankfully in my household, it was never like it was always something that's very normalized. I have two brothers and a dad. So the boys almost always know when, because we try and pray as a family, or like my dad will call us for salah, I'll be like, not praying. He's like, okay, cool. So like he'll come ask me the week after, you know what I mean? So I appreciate that from them, and um that's good. But I know a lot of people personally struggle a lot because they're like even in Ramadan they'll like sneak food so that their dads or brothers don't know about it. And it's like it's really sad that it's something you can't control, and that it's just some that you really have to hold yourself back and like lie about your pain, or lie about like, you know what I mean? Like fast even when you don't need to be fasting, just so the men in your life don't get triggered. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. And yeah.
Yeah, Yasmin just asked me to share this story. And it's talking about just like normalizing having like just the men in your house knowing that you're on your period or that you're in pain or whatever, because it's a normal part of your life. You have to go through it every single month. So it's not reasonable for them to ask you to hide it. Also, I'm so sorry. You wanted to talk. Should I say my story or should you go first?
Let's say your stories here.
Okay, so basically one time, and this is like a very regular occurrence, and I'd never appreciated it until like I realized that like a lot of girls don't have that. But literally my little brother, one time I was on my period and I was like, I was going through it. Okay. So my little brother comes to me and he's like, why do you look so sad? And I'm just like, it's my time of the month. And he's like, really? Is there anything I could do to make it better? And I'm just like, no, it's okay. And then he kissed me on my head and he's like, I believe in you. You got this. And he hugged me. And
He's like, shed that lining, sister. You got this.
You got it.
I was like, this is fine. Like this should be a normal conversation. It's not weird. And so yeah.
He's protecting you. He's caring for you. That's how you know he gonna be good with his wife, inshallah. Mashallah. Yeah.
I mean, men really have the capacity to be compassionate about these things, right? And like, we really need to push for that kind of atmosphere in our homes.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't think about it as like a big deal. Every time I watch the videos where they put the machine on guys to like simulate cramps, I'm like, yes, get that.
Suffer.
Yes,
Girl, that's gonna be on my wedding wish list. That's gonna be on my wedding wish list. Okay.
Oh my God. Put it on your bridal shower. What is it called? You know, when you put registry, right?
I just wanted to add something to what you were saying, Yasmin, how the kids in your classroom, like although they were all girls and it was an Islamic school, they thought of a period as being something like looked down upon, like, ew, like you got your period. And I feel like this stems from our culture and how we view periods in our culture as like dirty and like something we never talk about, and like, oh, you're on your period, yeah, no, like don't go to the mosque, just stay there, just sit there, suffer in silence, we don't care about you. And I want to share an experience. One time I was doing co-op when I was in grade 11, and it was at this clinic, and there was this lady that worked at the clinic, and she knew I was Muslim. She was not Muslim, and it was Ramadan, like when when I was doing the co-op, it was summer, and I think the last few days of Ramadan aligned with my co-op. And she was like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I'm fasting, because I think she brought donuts or something. And then she started talking to me about like periods and fasting. And she's like, it's like, oh, you guys don't fast when you're on your period, right? Because it's like you're like dirty, right? Like Islam like considers it being dirty, right? And she made like a disgusting face, like as if she's disgusted. And I feel so like I wish I can go back in time and be like, no, it's because Islam loves women so much that they don't want them to suffer. But I was like, no, it's not about that. Like I didn't know how to reply. And I just always constantly think about that story. And I'm like, I just wish I can go back to that woman and explain what it's truly about, because it's truly empowering, not what she thinks it is. Because they think of Islam as like it oppresses women in a way. I don't know, that's fumes me. I just want to share that experience.
That's I get what you mean. They when we get it, people treat us like we're unpure, you know. And there's certain areas in Asia where if you get it, you can't be in the same room as your husband because you're gonna make the bed impure. And yeah, it's sad.
And actually, I also wanted to make a comment, like Aya's story. It was a lady telling this to you, right? And I often find in our cultures, it's usually women who perpetuate that, yeah, you should hide that you're on your period. Men shouldn't know about it. You should do this and that. You know, it's always you hear it so much from women more than you hear it from men. And that's why, like, it's mind blowing to me, because I'm just like, we're all about, you know, women empowering women. So where's that energy when we're having this conversation, right? So.
Yeah. Why do we have to stay silent to keep them comfortable? I don't want you to be comfortable. This is my body. This is me. This is natural. Like this is the reason you're here today.
Yeah, literally. You know, I wanted to share a funny story. So I remember, like, my brother would always when I used to sleep with my mom for the longest time, and like till like I was in grade 10 or 11. Me and her, like, we would always just sleep together. We were buddies. And my brother would always come into our room and he's like, it's pleasure time, wake up. And then he came and he was like, me and my mom, who were also in sync. So then I'm like this, like, go away, go away. And then he's like, Yasmin, it's time to pray. And then I'm just like, go away, right? And then my mom just gets up and he's like, and she's like, do you not understand? Sometimes women have this thing called a period and you just need to leave them alone. Okay. And my mom just stood up and I was just there. I was like, okay, sis.
Your mom's like, you're disturbing my beauty sleep and get out of my face.
And then ever since that, I've been like, ever since she did that, I was like, okay. I never felt any like shame or anything like that. You know, and there was also this one family friend that we had. Whenever she got it, she just her family would be like, are you praying? She'd just show them her nails. And then she'd like this. Just like literally like this. And that way, and then her brother and her dad would just literally turn away. They're like, okay.
Oh, you might need some context.
Yeah. So people don't know what you're showing.
Yes.
Yeah,
you might need some context.
We actually talked about this in the Q&A a little bit. But
yeah, so basically, if a girl's nails are done, if she got fake nails on, it's most likely it's that time of the month. Okay. But if it's nail polish, we don't know because now there's halal nail polish, so we'll never know. But
you really would never know, and mind your goddamn business. You know what I mean? but okay, this is just like a side note. People really bug women a lot of times, Muslim women, for wearing nail polish and stuff. Like, oh, you're not praying, you're not this and that. Mind your business, okay? I have a period of 6 to 7 days. Oh, pun intended. Anyways, I have a period of time, 6 to 7 days, where I will be wearing nail polish and I will not be praying. And if you talk to me, I will literally cut you. Okay? I'm done.
And also another thing.
Polish.
Huh?
My mom started wearing halal nail polish. She's like, "Oh, it looks so nice," and I'm like, "Okay."
And another thing is, like, this happens a lot in like public spaces. Stop bugging women about them praying. They like, if you're a grown woman, you know your obligations, you know when you're supposed to pray and stuff like that. You don't need to be putting women on the spot and being like, yo, let's go pray. And then it's like a group setting. Maybe she doesn't feel comfortable telling you, hey, I'm on my period and I can't pray right now. So just be like, hey guys, we're gonna go pray, Jama. Anyone who wants to join can join. You don't need to be bugging women about them praying. And if a girl doesn't come and get up and pray, you don't get to judge her for not praying because you don't know what her circumstances are.
You know, I also feel like maybe, I don't know, but like in general, like if I'm at school and if, you know, the UCC bathroom, I can make the do there comfortably. There's a bucket, there's everything. I'm Gucci. Anywhere else, I can't do it. And I'll have to sit out. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't feel clean. I feel more comfortable praying at home. And like if people ask me to come pray, most of the time I get so shy from saying that. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm not praying at this time. But yeah, so just literally mind your own business. It could be for any reason. Just leave people alone, man. So our final piece of discussion for today. I just want to ask everyone, how are you going to raise your children to combat these taboos? What can we do as a society and as a Muslim community, especially, to combat these taboos that we've experienced?
You got to pick someone.
Aya, you want to go first?
Sure, I can go first. I just want to say, like, hearing Yasmin's story about like when her mom spoke up in front of her to her brother about like how some women during a time of the month they can't pray. I love that so much because I feel like that empowered you so much and felt like it made you a lot more comfortable, right? I feel like I want to be like that with my kids in the future, like with my girls. I feel like talking about it more normalizes it and makes them feel like it's not something weird or dirty or something out of the norm. Like, this is normal, this is natural, this is your body, this is what happens to it every month. Teach them that at a young age so they grow up thinking it's normal. And I just want to give this as an advice in general to all girls out there. Try to always have someone in your life that you can talk to about things like that, about your health, about your period. For example, Yasmin, mashallah, like you had your older sister when she took you out for ice cream. Like, I love that so much. Or even if you didn't feel comfortable with anyone in your household, maybe even your family doctor, remember that everything is confidential. Like, they can't tell anyone anything. Yeah, just find that person and talk about it. Don't ever feel shy about your body or anything that you're experiencing when it comes to your period and your health.
I want to add on to something about what Aya said about the doctor. If you, most of the time, if you're underage, you go to the doctor with your mom or like someone older. You can ask the doctor politely that I'd like to speak to you alone, and the doctor can then explain the situation to your mom or whoever is with you, your guardian, and basically the doctor will ask nicely that I'd like to talk to your child alone, and the parent is required to leave them. So do whatever is comfortable for you in order for you to feel healthy.
I wanted to also add something is that I think a lot of times people think that, like, obviously a lot of times like period symptoms and stuff like that are genetic, but a lot of times they're not. A lot of times they're dependent on a lot of different other things. And so I also think one thing I think moms should stop doing is assuming that their daughter's periods are going to be exactly like theirs. And that they're going to have the same symptoms, because that's actually not the case. So mothers, listen to your daughters when they talk to you about their symptoms. And if they tell you that they feel like they need to see someone, just let them see someone. Let them talk to a doctor. You're not really going to lose anything. So.
Absolutely. As a parent, it's sometimes it's easy to think of your child as an extension of yourself, and that your child will have the same experiences and emotions and feelings as you, but that's absolutely not the case. Your child is an entire different human being than you, and their experience with pain and their experience with their period and how their cycle is could be very different than yours. So absolutely validate if your daughter, when she comes to you and she's like, hey, like, I feel unsure about this symptom that I'm feeling, and I feel like I want to consult somebody about it. I think it's just something super important to keep in mind.
I want to give a little personal experience of what everyone is saying right now. my niece, she was very close to me, and like she's the firstborn in our family, and like all my siblings treat her like a sister, like a younger sister, because we all had this huge age gap. So when she came in, it was like I had a similar age gap to her as her mom, so it was just like she's my little sister. And so she's very open with me, and because we created that environment for her, right? When there were times where I would read a book, and then I would grab it and show it to my teacher. I'm like, what does this word mean? Snaps the book, puts it away, and is like, this book is off limits. So if I saw that word again, I was scared to bring it up even to my mom, even though my mom was open with me, but because of that. So now I've put it in my niece that you ask me everything first and your mom first, then ask other people, you know? There's been times where she's reading books and she's reading them way above her age, like they're not meant for her age. So there's like, it says this girl got her period, what does it mean? So we've explained it to her, you know, and she's older now, and we've made her understand why does she have special perks. So in her room she has her own bathroom, she has everything on her own. She knows that, and her brothers know that they can't open her drawers, they can't do anything. She is special, you know. And I've talked to my sister about it. I'm like, I don't want my niece to be a girl who has to hide in the closet to eat her food because she's the only girl in her family. She has three other brothers, and I want it to be a comfortable environment for her. And I'm like, if you're not going to give the talk to your sons, then I'm sorry, I'm going to take that responsibility and make sure they know, they're aware of what their sister is going through. And she's like, sis, don't worry, there's a reason why she has her own bathroom, and I'm going to explain that to them. I'm going to, when it's time for their age, I will explain everything to them. I will explain why she is special to. By the way, you getting your period or anything doesn't mean you're special, but like when I mean special is like, why did she get different accommodations? Why is she eating, you know? And like obviously when I don't know if that makes sense right now, but when my sister was like, when it's time for her not to fast in Ramadan, she's obviously not going to be going displaying it around, eating her food in front of everyone and shoving it around. I want her to have not shame of having her period, but shame having that, oh, look, my family's fasting. I'm probably just going to go sit in my room, not hide in my closet or anything like that. And if no one's home, I'll sit on the table and eat, you know?
Just because other people are like fasting and you don't want to like show in their face that you're eating, right? That's what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So she's like, I don't want her to feel shame about it at all, but I want her to accommodate. The way we've accommodated her, I want her to accommodate too. Right? And I don't know if that makes sense. I don't want to make it sound like I'm coming bad or like we're like, you know.
No, that like the way that you phrase it, like I actually really like that. Like just like how your family accommodates for her, she should also accommodate for everybody else. That's great. Yeah.
Like, don't hide it. Just don't shove it in people's faces. You're eating in Ramadan. Yeah. Don't hide it. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could all agree that just open communication is key to both your sons and your daughters.
Exactly.
Just have these conversations, talk about these things. It's not that deep. Like, and if you don't know something, research it. Google is free. Like, if you literally search up what is a period, wallahi, so many sites come up and they explain all the science in detail if you're interested in learning about that. And
yeah, sorry, I'm gonna cut you off, but there's one thing that I really want to say. A lot of you are scared, and if you are scared, go Google it and then delete your history. That's all I'm gonna.
Yo, that's what I used to do.
Anyway,
no, but that's also another thing about deleting your history is this is something I actually have. Like, as parents, don't make your kids feel so uncomfortable to come and talk to you about these things to the extent that they need to Google it and delete their history. Do you know what I mean? Like, create that safe environment in your home that your kids could be so open with you and share all these things with you. Because as a parent, like I know when I grew up as a parent, I would much rather have my kids be asking me questions and telling me things than to some random strangers. Do you know what I mean?
Some of us got some not very good education through the internet and through kids at
Exactly.
school.
So I'd rather have my kids ask me. I know I could find good sources and explain things to them rather than them maybe getting some not so good information off the internet. So yeah, just create a safe space in your house. It's cool.
You know, by this, what I'm understanding is that the way we can fix our community is the way we raise our children, because they are our
100%.
our community.
They're the building blocks.
Our future. You know. So yeah. So, but like, what do you guys have to say to the community in general?
Let women be women. Just because it makes doesn't happen to a man and they don't have that experience and it makes them uncomfortable and they think blood is gross, doesn't mean that even Islamically they're allowed to make us feel uncomfortable, unwelcome in Islamic spaces, and just all in all make our lives difficult in a time of month where we already are going through some difficulties health wise. So
Also, low key, if you're a man and you get disgusted and you think it's gross, like you're
you a baby.
you're literally being a baby, like dead ass. But also, since Balsam talked about the men in the community, the women in the community, the aunties at the mosque, stop yelling at girls when they're not praying. Like, stop making girls so uncomfortable. Because sis, you're a woman too. Every month you have a time where you're not praying either. So why do you need to act holier than thou when you're praying and she's not? Like, please stop this.
I had a friend who used to say, like, her mom or her grandmother or something used to be like, you need to hide the packaging of, like, you can't just leave it in the bathroom. Like, if you're sharing a bathroom with six brothers or whatever, like, you need to hide the packaging. You need to discreetly throw away everything. Like, you know, it's always like loud and flashy pink and green and yellow and orange packaging. Like, you need to hide it. You need to, like, no, you don't. You actually don't. It's fine.
I really just roll it in. I put it in. I don't care. I'm like, cool, whatever.
Like, if someone
No.
sees the wrapper of your pad or your tampon, who cares?
Who digs through it?
Like, dude, even if you just put it on top on display, it literally should not matter. It's a pad wrapper. It's a tampon wrapper. Who cares?
Yeah. I feel like Aya has a lot to say about this.
Yeah, you go on.
I don't know. I felt like I had little comments here and there, but I wanted to say for men to stop making women uncomfortable too, because this is what a woman is. This is her body. God created us like this.
Just before we, wrap this up, I know there's probably going to be a lot of younger listeners, maybe some girls who still haven't gotten their periods yet or are in the beginning of their period adventure. Welcome to womanhood. Who are still suffering with, or not suffering, that's not the right word, but their bodies are still getting used to this new process and they're going through irregular periods or, like just different kind of symptoms each month. I want to let you know that your body and your period is going to be so different than your friends, could be different than your mom's, your aunt, your neighbor. We're all so different, and our environment, our stress levels, our day-to-day, our did I say diets already? Not sure. Our diets, all of that stuff contributes to what your period looks like. But I want to say that your period in the beginning is going to be a little weird. It'll get more regular later on, but it should be a comfortable time in your month. It shouldn't feel like hell. It shouldn't feel like torture. And if it feels unbearable, something's wrong and you don't need to suffer in silence, bestie. Reach out, find some resources, do your research and get help. And also, it's not always just physical symptoms, like the symptoms that I listed out earlier. It could also be mental and emotional symptoms, because this is a time where there's a lot going on in your body, lots of hormone action going on in your body, and unfortunately sometimes that could trigger us in ways of mental illnesses, could worsen a pre-existing mental illness or PMDD. That's another topic, but do your research. If you feel an immense amount of mental or physical torture, that may not be normal, so seek out help.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say something little. I know we spoke about educating girls about their bodies and all of that, but also we shouldn't forget about talking to boys about this too, because I feel like part of the reason why a lot of boys or men get very uncomfortable is because this is a topic that they are never talked to about when they're little. I feel like we should normalize talking to men and educating them about it as well at a young age, just so it's never mind.
Normalized. Yeah, it's just like how sex ed is like separated and they don't really talk about the girls stuff. Like they don't touch that stuff at all when it comes to the guys, even though like likely when those boys are going to grow up, they're going to marry a woman, they're going to have women daughters, and even then like they're just going to have women in their lives, right? Like
she just said they're gonna have women daughters.
I never
Best
made
like daughters that are
daughters
going to
to
become
be.
women. I think that's so
whatever
creepy.
yeah, but they're going to have they're going to have children who are daughters, right? And those daughters are going to go through this kind of stuff. So it's women's health is something everybody should be educated about.
Okay, all right, y'all, I guess we're gonna wrap up. On today's episode, we talked about a lot. Actually, I gave a little brief rundown about the biology behind periods. Aya gave us a very extensive review of several disorders, and we also talked about periods and the implications in Islam and how it kind of affects our daily lives. But then we also talked a lot about the taboo that comes along with talking about periods in our cultures and what we think should change about conversations surrounding periods and what the things we're going to do when we're raising our kids when we're talking to them about these types of topics and a whole lot more. So I hope you learned something from this episode. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. Thank you, Aya, for joining us. Thank you, Balsam, for joining us. And yeah,
Me.
What?
How about me?
No, you're just doing your job. You're supposed to be here. I'm kidding. Thank you, Yasmin, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to me for being here as well. But anyways,
Thank you so much for having us.
We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, let us know your thoughts in the comments, and obviously subscribe. So many of our viewers don't subscribe for whatever reason. Please hit that subscribe button. We're not going to bother you with notifications.
Subscribing.
Literally, what are you doing? But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Salam.
That's how you.
I actually didn't forget it this time. I actually did it.